wonderful people, welcome back to my channel. This is W.H.O. I hope we are all doing well and safe. Okay, let's get right into today's video. So one may ask, what is today's video about? Okay, as we all know, in the world today, we all find ourselves in a particular situation, in an unforeseen circumstances, if I should say. Yes, it's unforeseen because little did we know that a thing of this sort would ever happen, and then just make the whole world come at a standstill. So I decided to do my research. Yeah, as always, I've got my book here. So I did some research and I'm here to share my findings with you. And as you already know, it's about the most talked about pandemic that is occurring in our world today. Okay, and that is coronavirus, the coronavirus disease 2019, shortened as COVID-19. A few months ago, we heard of this disease in China, particularly in Wuhan. We heard of this disease that broke out in China and people having to wear masks and all that. We didn't know how serious the disease was until recently, when it started spreading rapidly to other countries at a very fast rate, with people dying and all that. Yeah, and then now it has become a pandemic. Okay, so this is an infectious disease. The COVID-19 is an infectious disease, and it was first identified in December 2019 in Wuhan, China, and has since spread globally, resulting in the 2019-2020 coronavirus pandemic, as declared by the World Health Organization on the 11th of March 2020. As of 21st of March, more than 286,000 cases of COVID-19 have been reported in over 180 countries and territories, resulting in more than 11,800 deaths and 93,000 recoveries. This is interesting because I think we hardly hear of the positive side of this whole pandemic. We hardly hear of the positive sides. All we hear of is death. But it will interest you to know that 93,000 out of 11,800 deaths, 93,000 people have recovered from the pandemic. And this is very contagious, as we all know. That's why we have the measures that isolate yourself. Okay, so the common symptoms include fever, cough, and shortness of breath. Efforts are being made to prevent spreading, and these efforts include travel restrictions, quarantines, curfews, postponement and cancellations, and closures of facilities. After the initial outbreak of the COVID-19, there have been so many theories. People have their own perception. Other people thinking it's something that is being done intentional. But well, let me just say a few. So conspiracy theories and misinformation emerged online regarding the origin, scale, and various aspects of the disease. Various social media posts claimed that the virus was or is a bioweapon with a patented vaccine. Or other people also are of the view that it is a population control scheme. That's interesting. Or the result of a spy operation. But scientists suggest that the virus originated in bats and migrated into an intermediary host animal before infecting people. Okay, so this is what the scientists have come out to say, but other people are also saying something else. That is the human nature for you. Once something comes up, people come with their varying perspectives, their opinions, and all that. So this is not a time for fear, or this is not a time for fear. Rather, it is a time for rational and evidence-based action and investments. There is still a window of opportunity to bring this outbreak under the control, the World Health Organization said. The elderly and people with underlying diseases are susceptible to infection and prone to serious outcomes. This is evidence in what we see, or what Italy is experiencing at the moment. Currently, Italy is a country that has recorded the higher number of deaths, and recently it was discovered that the majority of deaths were elderly people. Yeah, those who were dying, like most of the people that died in Italy out as a result of the virus, are elderly people. So, given the lack of effective antiviral therapy against the COVID-19, current treatments are mainly focused on symptomatic and respiratory support. So currently they are only treating the symptoms. Let's say if it's cough, it is respiratory, they are only treating that, as the scientists are doing their very best to come out with a cure for COVID-19. So this is what the world has, this is what we are facing as a world, as the world in general. It's now a global issue, and then we cannot stay unconcerned. Wherever you find yourself, I believe that your country or your city, your state has put in measures to curb this virus, as in to reduce the spread of this virus. So I would plead with you, I will encourage us to adhere to all the directives that have been given, all the directives that have been put in place by our leaders and by our authorities. It's all for our own good. And let's also be assured, and let's have hope that this time is just but a passing time. It will surely come to pass. In some months to come, or in years later to come, we will tell our children about a time like this. So in my country, Ghana, the president with his able ministers have put up some measures which I'm going to share with you. Some of the measures are, all these measures are put in place to curb the spread of the virus, okay, because already we have 22 cases confirmed, 22 cases that have been confirmed in Ghana. So the president with his able ministers are doing their very best to curb the situation. And some of the measures are, he said, all public gatherings, including conferences, workshops, funerals, festivals, political rallies, sporting events, and religious activities, such as services in churches and mosques, have all been suspended for the next 4 weeks. Private burials are permitted, but with limited numbers, not exceeding 25 in attendance. Get it? So this may sound a bit weird, but it's all for the good of the population at large, okay? And then also all universities, senior high schools, and basic schools, that is both public and private schools, will be closed till further notice. The Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the Ministry of Communication, has also been tasked to roll out distance learning programs. However, those that are getting prepared for their BEC and WASI will be allowed to attend school to prepare for their examinations, but with prescribed social distancing protocols. And then also the government of Ghana's travel advisory issued earlier today that businesses and other workplaces can continue to operate, but should observe the prescribed social distancing between patrons and then staff, okay? So even those who are being allowed to work have some kind of limits, okay? They have some kind of rules they have to follow. And it is for our own good. It is for our own good. That is it in Ghana. So let me know back in your country or where you find yourself now. What is the situation like? How is it going? How are you coping with isolation and all that? And then these times can be very tricky. You may feel all alone and all that. Share your experiences, okay? Let's all learn together and then we support each other. This is not a time to be this is not a time to be afraid. This is rather the time you can connect. Thank God for social media. You can connect, chats and all that. Don't find yourself doing something you would rather not do in this season or in this time. Remember, this time shall also pass. It shall surely pass. It is but just for a season. Okay, it is but just for a season. It will surely pass. So do not find yourself doing something you will regret later. Okay. Yes, so and also as part of the president's initiative, prayers were held in the presidency with other religious leaders to pray. Yes, because as humans we can do what is humanly possible, and if what is humanly possible becomes impossible, then we have to turn to the Almighty God, the Supreme Being. Okay, yeah, so personal hygiene instructions are being emphasized. Personal hygiene. This is the time. If you do not practice personal hygiene, I beg of you, this is the time to be very strict on it. Monitor your children, monitor your friends, whoever is around you, because now you cannot be unconcerned if you are living with someone and the person doesn't practice personal hygiene. You have to insist, because if that person gets infected, automatically you're also going to get affected. So try to be your neighbor's keeper in this time. Yeah. Personal hygiene instructions are being proclaimed, and then the government of Ghana has also said that it's determined to do whatever to prevent the spread of the virus. Already isolation centers have been put in place, and the Ministry of Transport has also put in place measures to ensure enhanced hygienic conditions in all vehicle terminals, that is our bus stations and all that. Because yeah, in as much as this thing is going on, we still have to commute from one place to the other, so measures have been put in place in the bus terminals. And as I said earlier, gatherings have been suspended, like churches, events, parties, rallies and all that. So churches are going to be streamed online. If you have an event, you would have to postpone it. Yes. Despair. So I tend to ask myself, anytime I find myself in some kind of situation that is overwhelming, situation where you realize you cannot do anything, like as human as you are, you just cannot do anything, so you just fall back and leave everything to God. Then you ask yourself, is there anything too hard for God? Is there anything too hard for God? And you cast your mind back. You cast your mind back to where you were and then where you are now. And then that alone tells you the glory of God. That alone tells you that He is the God of impossibilities. What may seem impossible in the sight of man is possible before God. So in times like this, we can just pray, practice our personal hygiene, we self-isolate ourselves, practice personal hygiene. Pray to God to have mercy, to heal the land. Isn't He the God that parted the sea? Isn't He the God that healed the blind, that healed the sick? There is nothing, there is absolutely nothing our God cannot do. If only you have hope, believe and pray and do what is needful. Obey the authorities. God is a God of order. He's a God of obedience. So if authorities are saying that wash your hands, practice self-isolation, social distancing, you cannot say that because you believe in God, you're going to put on a deaf ear to that. No. God doesn't work that way. Okay? All right. So let's be people of hope. With all these happenings, we know that there is a supreme being who is in charge. God is the ultimate. He is in charge. He is in charge of absolutely everything. Yes, I believe that even before this thing happened, like God knew. God already knew that it's going to happen. So let's be hopeful, but that this too shall surely come to pass. This I believe so much that this shall surely come to pass. Let us be a people of hope and faith, trusting that this will soon end. We should also take into consideration all the preventive measures that have been put out there to protect us from contracting the virus and also decrease the rate of its spread. There is surely light at the end of the tunnel. Practice personal hygiene. Wash your hand with soap and water. In fact, running water. Yeah, let me emphasize soap and water. It doesn't mean that the water must be running water. Wash your hands with soap and then running water. Not to have a water in a bowl and then soap and then wash your hand inside the bowl. No. Even if that way, you can just fetch your water with cup. If you happen to be in you find yourself in an area where there is no tap, whatever, just fetch the water with a cup. If there's someone around, let the person pour the water onto your hand. Whilst you wash it, let the person pour the water onto your hand. Do not wash your hand into the bowl. Otherwise, you realize that you washing your hand into the bowl, so like doesn't really make sense to me. So let someone fetch the water with a cup and then pour it onto your hand whilst you are washing your hands. Okay, all right. So again, hope changes everything, and it gives us the strength and the edge to fight, believing that this epidemic will be eradicated soon. Let us as well be a people who, by this unprecedented turnaround of life, this devastating situation we find ourselves in, that it tells us, this situation actually tells us how frail we are as humans, how frail life is, and how limited we are as human beings. Let us all come to believe in God, trust in Him, and then count on His grace. He alone can do it. It's only God who can do it. Okay, whatever perception, whatever view you have about this whole thing that is happening, yeah, let it be, but still practice your personal hygiene. Go according to the directive that has been put out there in your country, in your locality, in your community. Go according to it, and then pray to God, pray to Allah, whatever you believe in. Yes, let's all come together as one and then fight this together. All hope is not lost. This is not the end of the world. Okay, I firmly believe in God. I'm Christian. If you are Muslim, traditionalist, whatever you believe in, okay, let's pray that this too shall surely come to pass. And I also want to use this platform to sympathize with all those who have lost their loved ones in this pandemic, that may their souls rest in peace, that God Himself will grant them a peaceful place to rest. Let's continue to have faith in God, that with God all things are possible. Okay, the fact that we are able to sleep and wake up to see another day, even in this pandemic season alone, gives us hope and courage that we will surely overcome this pandemic. So I leave you all with the peace of God. I leave you all with the blessings of God. Let us continue to abide under the shadow of the Almighty, that God Himself will keep us safe. Until I see you again next week, stay safe and stay blessed, and let's keep praying. Thank you all so much for watching. This is very emotional for me, but thank you all so much for watching. God bless you all. May all the souls of the faithful departed rest in peace. Amen. God bless you all. Bye. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to like. Feel free to share your views. Feel free to share your experience in your current location. Thank you all so much for watching. God bless you all. Thank you. Bye.